a new area we are all looking at that affects the way we work. For the data protection professionals on this call, I'd like to invite you to think about the implications in terms of data privacy and your job role, especially in compliance. So I'm going to be showing you, and then together with Lynn, we are going to be talking about the privacy issues that relate to them, as well as the ethical AI principles.
I'm thinking about whether in my job as a lawyer I'm going to be replaced by an AI, or whether I'm going to get heaps of value out of using AI to help me do what I do.
I will be demonstrating other technologies that we should think about in terms of implications on privacy, obviously on the ethical and the responsible use of AI. So we talk about generative AI, everyone knows about ChatGPT, but as you see on the screen, it also covers images and video, as well as audio. It might cover music, speech synthesis as well. What's happening right now is generative AI is going to be driving a lot of the digital transformation. Because of that digital transformation, there's a need for data governance. There's going to be a lot of trust issues that we'll be seeing as we experience the world of generative AI. The part that we are all very interested in is the invasion of privacy. So I thought I'd put in this interesting quote: freedom is the right to be wrong, but not the right to do wrong. Every day we have new applications popping up. The landscape can be divided into three areas. First one is core applications. These are all of the leading edge technologies. OpenAI, which basically is the developer of ChatGPT and DALL-E. This area we call clones. These are the apps that rely on the APIs that are provided by the core technologies. And as you can see, they cover all aspects from writing to video to text to speech, code, and all of that. The existing applications are also incorporating the generative AI features. We call them combination apps. And you can see what Google is doing, what Microsoft Bing is doing, where the search engines are even incorporating generative AI.
I think it's going to be quite difficult for the average person to know the difference, which of the apps are potentially more dangerous to them than others.
As I said earlier on, we are talking about the ability to generate text, documents, and all that, and they're all using what we call large language models to train the information. I'm sure a lot of you would have read about the Samsung workers accidentally leaking trade secrets, and a lot of you are already very conscious that whatever you put into ChatGPT is being stored by ChatGPT, mainly to train the model, right?
I thought this was something that would be really easy to do without knowing the consequences. I don't think the person was trying to do the wrong thing. They just didn't know any better, didn't have any guidelines or training for their staff. People are having a bit of a panic at the moment about the GDPR compliance because ChatGPT has been trained on, according to somebody in the know, 175 billion words and phrases. And that's scraped off the internet, and that's going to include inevitably personal data about people in Europe. Data that could affect their privacy, could affect their human rights more generally. They don't know what data of theirs has been put into ChatGPT, and there's no way to find it. So the regulators are having an moment. How are we going to deal with this?
I want to share with everyone here, there needs to be policies being put in place in terms of what you can, what you cannot share with an external app. So here, what we've presented is a whole bunch of principles that we should be taking into account. You're going to find a lot of apps in the market that literally use the GPT engine. So the top left is you can load a PDF file and have ChatPDF summarize everything for you. You could have ChatGPT incorporated into your intranet, your external websites. You could load in any documents. So you might have a policy, a procedure, and your folks don't want to read it. So you could ask the chatbot to summarize your SOP procedures for you. Guess what? Every single one of these applications are what we call clone apps. When you upload your content is on their server even before it gets passed on to ChatGPT. Your data is on their cloud server. You would need to look at the terms and conditions. More importantly, you got to do your due diligence. You can't just pick an app, just find it useful to meet your business needs, as all of you have shared earlier on for business productivity. Beware.
Senior management has to really take a lead in what's happening within their organizations and help and guide their staff on what it's okay to do, what it's not okay to do.
We mustn't forget that the cyber criminals are also going to be using ChatGPT. As you can see, I asked it this question. I'm going to give you a bunch of text from a certain person, Lynn Boxell. I would take all of the text from a Facebook message, and I want you to analyze the tone, writing style, diction, choice of words. Then I want you to mimic Lynn's writing style. I'm going to give you a bunch of messages, and you will write it the way she writes it. And what does ChatGPT tell me? Yes, I understand your request. Please provide me the text you would like me to analyze. And Lynn, get ready. I'm going to pretend to be you.
It's pretty scary. And it's happening already. They're estimating 10% improvement in the quality of scams because the scammers will be able to mimic people much more easily than they have done in the past, much more effectively.
Some of you may have read about this article where a married father kills himself after talking to an AI chatbot. I think the system didn't give him very good advice. So I'd like everyone to analyze this in terms of the ethical AI principles. You could already see in this case, the developers, they were just developers. They were not necessarily aware of the ethical aspects of the system here. I'm deliberately showing this screenshot. The pressure that has been put on ChatGPT in terms of their privacy practices, and the fact that for those of you who use ChatGPT, your chat history is being saved by them and used to train the model.
I saw an announcement literally in the last 24 hours where it was ChatGPT, I think, says you can go to the setting and tick a box to say, don't use my input for training your model. That's a step in the right direction.
So that is the area of text generation. Now let's talk about image generation. As you can see here, we're talking about the ability to apply what we call AI techniques to create or generate new images. These are what we call synthetic images. It's not real people, right? I'm going to be using a very interesting application here. Some of you might know about DALL-E. I would like you all to describe a girl to me. I will pick the images here and I'm going to generate an image of you guys or based on your description here. So let me just copy all your answers. So image, a 10-year-old Asian girl with pretty long hair, big eyes, walking her pet turtle in a park, right? So what I'm going to be doing right now is, what if you could just describe it and have the system generate the image for you? Okay, so let me share that with you right now. This is the power of what we call generative AI for image creation. I'd like to ask you this question. What if it looks like your daughter? This is totally synthetic.
I would feel pretty alarmed if suddenly somebody came up with a photo of me or that looked enough like me that my friends thought it was me.
What happened in this article, this photographer, he wanted to experiment to see whether he could submit an AI generated image, and he didn't expect to win the prize. It's actually the Sony World Photography Awards, and he turned it down. Imagine if he did accept it.
Does it totally debase photography? Does everybody just think, well, I'm not going to bother to take a photo anymore because AI is better? Is that a bad thing socially or a good thing? I don't know the answers.
People are using it to plagiarize, to write, get ChatGPT to write on their behalf, submit their assignments and all of that, which is why we can expect the AI law to include the fact that you probably have to put in some kind of mark to say it was co-generated or it was generated by a generative AI. So folks, if you haven't seen the power of generative AI, you could now create instant presentation. So let's imagine I'm doing a keynote. Would you like to suggest what should my keynote topic be? The joys of eating durian. Let's see how smart it is. Wow, this is really cool. So if you take a look at every single screen, there's the introduction to durians. Notice it's all written for you in the presentations. Read in between the lines and ask yourself, what can you potentially do with this kind of technology? What if it's for malicious intent? So, ladies and gentlemen, there's the good side and also the not so good side. So it'll be interesting to see what the next 6 months will reveal to us as all these new innovations come about. By now, you can see how important the AI ethical principles are. That anyone designing or deploying an AI system, you should follow the principles similar to how you should follow the privacy principles wherever the data flows in your information life cycle. So what I like to do right now is to get everyone very conscious now that you can see what is happening, right? We expect to see more breaches, not just privacy, but also ethical issues, right? That we will be reading about. So if you look at this typical example here, I'd like to draw your attention where nobody reads the terms of use, let alone even read the privacy policy.
It means that the company that published it can do whatever they feel like with absolutely no liability whatsoever. And this is fairly typical of what we see in terms of use, particularly coming out of the US.
I'd like to also point out to you that if you were to go to the App Store or the Play Store, you're going to find lots and lots of imitation or GPT applications, right? You should read the data safety. And if you can see my screen, notice it says no personal data is collected, which is completely not true, because when you do your chat, even though they use ChatGPT, your text will contain your personal messages from you. So how can they say that there's no data, right? The moment we use the app, the advertisements came out immediately, which imply to us there's personalized advertising and your data is also being used. We can expect a law. And what will happen is that just like a privacy law, there will be the rules, or what in privacy we call them privacy principles. In Singapore, we call them PDP obligations. Similarly speaking, in the AI Act, it will be grounded on the AI ethical principles. And as you can see, this is all risk-based, and they're looking at how to minimize all of these risks.
I think they were doing quite well with developing the AI law from beginning of 2021 up until November 2022 when ChatGPT came into place. You can see this is a couple of months later, and they're trying to react. They're going to have to be quick because the technology will keep on developing. Regulators everywhere are trying to wrestle with this.
If you look at what an AI business professional is supposed to be, he's supposed to be a professional who can do due diligence on the new apps. He's able to adopt and adapt generative AI, and most importantly, you're going to use it ethically and responsibly. With this in mind, my colleagues and I have put together a course which we'll be announcing soon. This is an advanced cert in generative AI. So we are going to give you the hands-on experience and even demo the technology so that you can effectively use it. July 21st, Privacy Week, we are going to be having a very interesting masterclass with SMU, where we'll be going into detail generative AI and implications and data protection. We're going to be releasing three research results: the AI landscape among startups. We'll also be sharing the survey on businesses and how they are adopting generative AI, as well as a whole privacy and ethical suite of generative AI apps in the market. All of us will be there, and it'll be a fun-filled session. Hopefully, it will give you a whole bunch of areas to think about in your transition towards data governance.
For more data protection resources, visit www.dpaxnetwork.org, the Data Protection Excellence Network, and sign up for free as a member to have full access to all content. Do also like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn if you found this useful.